Hey guys, it's FFM Azure, and this is my second whip tutorial where I'm going to be covering closed hand whips, how to do them, implementing flails into whip sequences, and a couple more small whip tips, which just relate to some more specific tricks you can involve in your whipping. So a closed hand whip, what is it? It's a whip where your fingers are closed, but your hand still opens. So that's a normal whip. Those are front facing, back facing. These are closed hand whips. So the thumbs are still mimicking the motion that they need to take when you do forward facing. See how it closes around it, or backwards facing. See how it opens up? Same thing. Closes around, opens up. And how to implement closed hand whips is I find them to be much quicker, or you can throw them really quick, or you can throw them much quicker. And how I like to implement them is a lot of underhand closed hand whips, and this is what that looks like. One here, underhand, pull back, and you're kind of pushing one into the other. So it pushes through, and the one that just finished whipping is coming back, and it comes under again, under, 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 under. So, and that's just one way how to implement closed hand whips. And that hand shape from the closed hand whip is taken from a flail, which is just there. So there's kind of 4 points to hit on a flail. To the side, down, to the side again, and up again. And it becomes one smooth motion. And kind of how to implement flails into whip sequences, and just implementing flails into your style entirely, is all branched off of one flail concept, which is really very simple. And it's 2 flails coming in and out of each other, but beginning facing each other. So what this looks like, I just turn a bit. One hand is pointing back, the other is pointing forward. Your wrists are almost crossed, but there is distance between them, and you're flailing around both your hands. You're just doing this. They're both going the same way, except they're doing this. One is flailing, pointing this way, one is flailing, pointing forward. So you're just really simple, looks nice for trails. Bring it over here, bring it in the center, bring it on the side. But then how to send whips in and out of this flail combination is the arm on the bottom is going to be coming out and doing a whip like that. So it's going to be over here, flailing. I'll do one hand first. Flail, flail. At the top of the flail, close, push forward, pull back. So what that looks like with 2 flails is this. And the backhand is continuing to flail while I'm whipping. Now you can move the backhand however fast you want. Ignore that popping, it's my wrist. Or you can again, variations in speeds are an excellent way to add character and a sense of uniqueness to your show. It's fantastic. So now onto my small whip tips. So there's a couple of things you can do to really make your whip stand out, or to add that wow factor in a show that goes beyond simply throwing really fast whips. So what I like to do with this is stop one hand while I'm whipping the other. And now this is what this looks like. So do that original very simple flail pattern, which is this. And then bring that hand out that we covered in whipping in and out of flailing, like this. But then just stop it. Just stop it here. but then continue to flail, but then move this hand around. Do this, pull it back, pull it forward, and then move the hand that flails, but always kind of keep it behind. And this looks really great if you have accelerometers in your lights, because for the elements, for example, 2 sequences, that first sequence, say if it's a very heavy blink, that'll be right in their face, while if you had your sequence 2 set for something like DOPS or chroma or hyper strobe or anything, very bright or a solid trail, that's what this is going to be. So you have one hand that's blinking while you have another that's creating that trail right behind it, and that contrast between effects is great. And that's kind of stopping one hand while you whip the other. And then what you can do is, in this hand you can stop whipping, or start whipping, sorry, and then this hand can just kind of replace it. Or you can do your own thing, go crazy. And then different whip speeds between 2 hands this is kind of one of my favorite things that I like to do about whip combinations. And I have one really good example of this, and this is a whip sequence that I like to do. It starts off as 5 backwards facing whips, and then the top hand is going to do a front facing whip. So I'm going to show you what that looks like in practice very slowly. So you start thumb facing yourself with your left hand. Do a backwards whip. Now, while this one's closing, have your right hand facing yourself and start another backwards whip underneath it. Now that top whip, once it's finished, that first whip you did, it's pulling back, and then this whip is also coming, and then when this whip finishes its whip, this one is coming out and whipping again. And how this looks is the hand that comes back, when it comes to back here, it drops, so the thumb is facing back again. Because when you close a backwards facing whip, the thumb is facing forward. So you need to kind of do that again to send it continuously. So I'll show you what that sequence looks like that I first mentioned. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then this hand is going to close. This hand's going to do another bottom facing whip, but the hand that just closed, the top one, my right, is going to do a front facing whip. So it went from 5 backwards facing whips to this one stopping. And now they're heading in different directions, and you can always play around with sending one whip in a different direction than the other. Do a backwards whip while this one's doing a forward facing whip, that kind of thing. And that's a great thing to experiment with, is variations in whip speeds between your separate hands, while also doing different styles of whips between each hand. Forward facing, backwards facing, at different angles, different lengths, whatever it is. So that's my second whip tutorial. Hope you all enjoyed, and keep watching for more light shows, more tutorials, and yeah, thanks for watching, guys.